Scott Baradell. Thanks so much, Scott, for coming on here. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, Scott, I first have to ask you here. So, we're seeing the Kamala Harris camp really go to the Gen Z crowd, but now we are seeing really Donald Trump do a lot of not the traditional media settings to get his messages out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Donald is definitely realizing he's going to have to step up his game a little bit, and he's trying some different things. And of course, he has an ally in Elon Musk. But, ultimately, Donald Trump is Donald Trump. And what people love most about him is that he doesn't change. And I think if you look at some of the criticism that Donald Trump has gotten, his allies and the people that support him don't really see the basis of the criticism because they see a lot of consistency in how Trump presents himself and always has, no matter what wrinkles may be added to the equation.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And for what we have seen, you go back to 2015, 2016, when he was campaigning for his first time around to now, it seems like the same strategy is consisting, though, for Donald Trump when it comes to his big bread and butter during the campaign route is always these rallies that go about 90 minutes. What does he have to do from here on out till November to kind of not only do the rally part, because that's what he always has done, but do something a little bit different as well?
Well, he certainly, now reintroduced himself to Twitter or X, which was obviously a huge aspect of his campaign, probably the biggest non-rally piece of his approach. And we'll see how much he ends up using it versus Truth Social. But I think, let's look at the kind of thing that Donald Trump does and how people respond to it. At the National Association of Black Journalists, when Donald Trump made the point, and I think he did so in a way that, at least to people who are Trump supporters, they saw the humor in it when he said that Kamala Harris had until recently not been black, as he said it. And I think the joke was that, as JD Vance pointed out, this was a candidate who Donald Trump was trying to point out has been like most politicians, where you change how you present yourself based on the audience that you're presenting to, which is a contrast to Donald Trump, who, say what you will, whether he's in front of the National Association of Black Journalists or another audience, he's always just going to be Donald Trump. He doesn't present himself differently to different audiences in the way that basically historically virtually every politician has. And I think that's been his number one distinction and differentiation that has led, besides his views on positions, that has led people to support him. And how that's been presented in other media is Donald Trump is racist. Donald Trump is saying that she's not black when she obviously is. But that wasn't the point he was making at all. So you've got this fundamental disconnect in how the issues in the campaign are being presented. And even, is this Donald Trump being funny? Is this Donald Trump being serious? Well, the answer is yes and yes. But his audience knows that about him. It's been 8 years, Mike. People know Donald Trump at this point. So I think that's what we're talking about here more than anything, is Donald Trump continuing to do the things that have always worked for him.
Yeah, those are all great points there. And Scott, I want to ask you another really factor with Donald Trump. He seems to always have a way of he doesn't get around with saying something that he wants to put through, but will do it in a way where it'll get a lot of eyes and attention on it. For example, he'll say something, I shouldn't say this, and then he'll say it, and then it'll almost say, well, he didn't want to say it, but now he wants to bring that to the eyes of the voters there. How is he able to do that and keep that messaging just like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way he's able to and been able to pull these big crowds at rallies for years and years. He's a showman. He is an entertainer in addition to being a politician and a businessman and those things. And kind of that whole gamesmanship of saying, oh, let me let you in on a little secret it's part of that. It's part of what he does to draw people in. And people that don't like him will always kind of demonize basically everything he does and how he does it. But the reality is, there's a reason why he has the level of support he has. And part of it is just that ability to draw people in through that kind of showmanship.
And then on the other side there of that, that kind of showmanship and that really playing up to the crowd can sometimes be a negative for him as well.
Well, absolutely. But I think we're at a point now, 8 years into Donald Trump as politician, that people know what they think about Donald Trump, and I think the what you're going to see in terms of the vote this year is going to be more about turnout than anything else. Who's able to turn out more voters than the other side? I think, yeah, there's certainly been some changes around the margins. There have been more Hispanic voters who have come around to Donald Trump. Um, we'll see if it actually pans out, but Donald Trump does believe that he's made inroads with African Americans and other groups. But I think that's really more less of a reaction to any change in Donald Trump than some of the more extreme elements of the other side that have turned people off. And so I think that it's really more that than anything Donald Trump has done. I do think Donald Trump has a little bit, not talked quite as much about the 2020 election being a fraud. I think that's something that's in the past and people want to look forward. So I do think he's doing that more. So I think that's certainly been a positive for his campaign.
It's going to be remarkable to see it all come down the stretch. As always, at very exciting times as we get out of summer and then into the fall coming up in a couple of months. But Scott, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox and giving us some great insight as we all look forward to the race to the White House continuing.
My pleasure. Thank you.